morning Year 6 and welcome to this week's maths videos. We are going to continue with Fluent in 5, but we're also going to move on to interpreting pie charts with percentages. So today we are going to look at percentages in pie charts, but first of all I'd like you to pause the video and have a go at Fluent in 5. Brilliant, so hopefully you paused the video. Let's look at the answers. So you've got 125,590, 3 2/3, 9.63, 644,657 and 9. Well done if you got those right. So I'm going to do an example with you today and then there will be the challenges for you to do yourself. So the problem says 300 people were asked how many siblings they have. The results are shown in a pie chart. So you know the whole pie chart in percentages would add up to 100%. And 100% would be 300 people. So the easiest thing to look at there is 50%, because that is equivalent to a half. So we can, in our chart, put one sibling, because we know that 150 is half of 300, and 50% is half of 100%. The next thing to do is to do your bubble method. Now you can either write this out as a bubble, or you can just write down the key ones you need. But I've gone for 10%, which is 30, because 300 divided by 10 is 30. 1% would be 3, because 300 divided by 100 gives us 3. I've then worked out 5% by halving my 10% to give me 15. I know 50% already, because half of 300 is 150. And then I've halved that again to find 25%, which is 75. So I've got my main players there that I can use and put together if I need to. So the next one that I could look at is 2 siblings. And 2 siblings is 15%. So I know that 15% is 10%, add 5%. So I know that that is 45 children. The next one, number 3, is 10%. And because I did my bubble, I already know that 10% of 300 is 30. So I'm able to put in the amounts for 1 sibling, 2 siblings and 3 siblings. The next one to look at would be 4 and 5. And again, I can do those at the same time because they're both 5%. If I've done my bubble method, I already know that 5% is 15. Lastly, you've got 0. Now 0 is the same. No siblings is the same as 2 siblings, 15%. And I already worked that out by adding 10 and 5% together, so I know it's 45. So the main thing to do is to look at your overall number, how many people were asked. Use your bubble method to calculate your 10%, 1%, 5%, etc. And if you've got a nice one in there, like half, maybe start there first. So, this is your one. 160 people were asked how many siblings they have. The results are shown in a pie chart. So you'll notice it's the same percentages as earlier, just a different number. So I'd like you to do the bubble method if you need to, or see if you can calculate it mentally to fill out the table. Pause it and have a go. The next one, the pie chart shows the colours of cars in a car park on one day. There were 30 yellow cars. How many cars were in the car park in total? And then it asks you to complete the table. This one's a little bit trickier. Instead of giving you the overall numbers of cars in that car park, it has given you 5%. Now, if you know what 5% of the number is, which is 30, then think about, can you use that to find 10%? And if you know 10%, are you able to find 100%? Once you've found your 100%, you'll know how many cars there were in the car park. You'll then be able to use that information and your bubble information to work out black, red, silver, white and blue. Maybe add them all up at the end and check you have got the right number. Pause the video, have a go, and I'll go through the answers in a second. Brilliant, so hopefully you had a go. So the answers. Now the first one I would have done is number 1, 1 sibling, 50%, well half of 160 is 80, because half of 16 is 8, so that's a nice one there. Then 0 siblings is 15%. If I worked out my bubble method, I could have done my 10% and my 5%, added them together, and that gives me 24. Number 2 siblings is also 15%, so I know that's 24 too. 3, you just needed to divide by 10 to find 10%, which gives you 16. 4, you just needed to half your 10%, which gives you 8, and 5 is the same as well. Well done if you got those right. Now this one was a little bit trickier, but if you know that there were 30 yellow cars for 5%, then you know that 10% is 60, because if 5% is 30, then you double 5% to get to 10%, so you double 30 to get to 60. Brilliant, you've now got 10%. 10% is 60. Now all you need to do is times that by 10 to get 100%, because 10 times 10 is 100, so 60 times 10 would be 600. So your overall 100% is 600, and you know all of that because your 5% was 30. Now going back to our table, so I would probably work out blue first because I've got my information for yellow. I know that 5% was 30, so I know blue 10% is 60 because all I needed to do was double it. I then know that red is 60 as well because it's also 10%. Now if you wanted to, you could use your bubble method. You know 600 is the overall number, so you know that 60 is 10%. You know that 6 is 1%. You know that 30 is 5%. You can put those figures together. Then you should end up with 126 silver cars, 210 white cars, and 114 black cars. And if you were to add all of those figures together, you should get your 600 cars in total. Very, very well done if you got that right. I will see you tomorrow for more maths fun.